Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com, Mana Traders, as well as Twitch subs and Patreon supporters just like yourself. My name is Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Power Dragon.
What's up, everybody? Boy, we're going to have some things to say this week.
Going to be great. Ruben Bresler.
Yeah, usually the first week of the year. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start a Magic Mike's 2024 doc.
Yeah, we need to, for drama of the year, we got it already.
We got it already.
Here, but
maybe.
It's January 3rd, and all today was just one long day. All right, so if you missed our pre-show, patrons and subs to the channel get access to that stuff early, and we kick it off with our first pick and our sweet code push, which we appreciate y'all using the promo code MagicMikes at CoolStuffInc.com to get 5% off whatever you want. 5% off supplies, singles, boxes. Go nuts. Use the promo code MagicMikes. That helps the show. That shows that this is working, and you guys are great because you have been using it, and I really appreciate that. So keep that up, and we'll raid our favorite streamer with your suggestions in the show to see who we're going to raid tonight. And that is thanks to that sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com. You can find cool stuff in stock every day using the promo code MagicMikes. All right. So, what the hell happened today? I have been working.
The sun came up.
Did come up as it
and
went.
Magic Controversy happened.
Right. So let's try to do the like a mile up in the sky, bird's eye down, sort of give me the TL, the DRs. All right. So the TL and the DRs is that CubeCon happened, and there was a report that one of the organizers was sexually harassing a judge. And how CubeCon responded to that made two of the people who are part of CubeCon so upset they decided to leave and make their new different organization for a CubeCon festival thing. And there's fallout basically everywhere after that, which is the two people who left weren't satisfied with the response. The person who was the victim involved has released a statement on her end, and the other person involved in the organizer has released a statement on his end. And it is I don't know if classic is the right word, but none of this was particularly surprising in that the guy was like, I didn't really do anything. And the girl was like, he totally did stuff and other stuff beyond what he's talking about. And we're kind of left in the middle, and then everyone just starts shooting out their statements and their Apple Notepad screenshots, and my statement that doesn't say a lot, but I'm not going to be involved with so-and-sos, and lines are drawn, and weird statements are coming out left and right, and it's just kind of gross, and we're kind of stuck in the middle.
Yeah, even from a business standpoint, I kind of get where I guess we'll call the new management of CubeCon are coming from, right? Especially according to like, hey, we agreed this thing very likely happened, so we got to take action. And like, I can respect that stance. My issue with the old guard starting a new group, I don't know how we want to refer to that, seems like a bad move anyway, because your new organization is starting out being associated with negative controversy. Right? Like, that can't be great. And you're in direct competition with the other guys that already have a brand made. So, like, it just feels very rushed, and it's an ill-conceived plan. I think that's probably not going to go anywhere, because as well as I do, Evan, like, organizing events and putting stuff together, it's not just like a fly-by-night thing. It takes time. You got to have experience. Like, and if you're starting out with strikes against you, that's not going to help your case at all.
You would be surprised at the events that you think, like, man, they totally cleaned up, maybe just barely made money. You would absolutely be surprised. And it also goes into the fact, and this is another one of those good lessons of, like, they didn't do their due diligence in making a LLC, for example, for CubeCon, and making an official business with people who have specific roles and directors and board of directors and all that stuff listed out officially in, like, the corporation, paperwork and all that stuff. And so now there is who owns what and who has access to such and such and who has the password to so-and-so. And because you don't have those things lined out, you can't just say, that's my Twitter account. You can say, well, person who has the password, well, it's theirs right now because you don't have any rights to it whatsoever. So some of these things are about, like, It's super cool. And the issue, the whole thing with setting up companies and contracts is for when things go wrong. When things go right and everyone's cool and everyone's friends and we're high-fiving and making money and doing stuff, that's great. It's when things hit weird situations like these where you go, oh God, wait a minute, we didn't properly do so and so, and we didn't set up such and such. Now you're just shit out of luck.
You got to have that written out. Like, and my thing was just straight up, even when I ran my own convention, even though I was paying some people to help me or whatever, my name was on everything. So I have final say and control. Like, if I'm paying for stuff and if stuff's going to blow back and hit me, then I get responsibility and control of everything. Right. Like, that's just all there was to it. Like, no other lines. And that's how it should be, whether people like it or not.
So what later happened, so later this morning, there was an announcement that sort of talked about the situation, and they said, there was an apology issued that never made it to the victim. There was an investigation that happened that never spoke to the victim, which is also kind of weird. And then there was also this thing that came out when they said, well, look, we're going to remove this person who was accused from leadership. We're also going to isolate them from the admins, of the con before, during, and after the convention. At which point you go, just kick them. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Just kick them.
That's silly.
Just kick them. What are you doing? I don't understand. This whole thing is about trying to protect this one person. And if anyone else had acted this way, you just say go home. You just say this is it.
Yeah.
And that this whole thing is because they won't do that very action.
Yeah. It is, there's a couple things that are important to note for context here. Hopefully now that, thank you, by the way, Evan and Power Dragon for spelling that out and giving the details. I feel like that details were harder to come by as it pertains to this story, as opposed to opinions and outrage. Most of the conversation that was happening about this was oblique and not directly quote tweeted or, X.com is a bad website now, and it's just harder to see that.
It really
but
is.
Also this discussion got exacerbated very quickly. So thank you for summarizing and giving that context. A couple important things to note. One is that the accused party does go by they, them. That's on me. Nope, that's fine. You didn't know.
Good call out. Good point.
And that the splinter group of BK and the other guy, J-Bro, this was their idea. The CubeCon is their thing.
Right.
And the other important thing to note, just that was brought up in chat, is that Gamehole Con, which is a gaming convention that has been around for a very long time, very well respected in the tabletop industry, is the event that is partnered with CubeCon as its host, and they have J-Bro and BK's back, Brian Cowell, as it pertains to this particular issue. So now you have these dueling CubeCons, and there's like the CubeCon official Twitter account and the CubeCon Twitter account, and knowing which one is which.
Yeah, this is something like that. It's Cube something.
This is like when the other Gygax child who went crazy started his own Dungeons and Dragons. Do you remember this?
I vaguely remember this.
It's like that. Hopefully this doesn't go anywhere. But right now it's weird and messy and difficult.
And and for what it's worth, I've seen situations where people have taken things sort of out of context and whatnot, but there's things that have been talked about and alluded to that are beyond just like one thing said at a con that weren't addressed or referred to. And so there's always these weird little holes, and there's he said, she said, and the truth. And it sucks when you don't know what exactly all those three sides are.
Yeah, I think just this other, I guess, new group trying to pop up, like really, I think they should have just let it lie and take your L, move on, right? Like, don't try to cover for anybody. Don't try this other startup to save face. Like, this is one of those things that it's done. We're acknowledging bad things happened. We're trying to clean up the event and the community. By the end of the week, everybody would have been done with it. But because they're making a bigger issue out of it, this is going to be a conversation well into next week, probably even through next week,
Yep.
When this would already be done by the weekend.
This would not have been our top pick. This would not be a drama of the year nominee.
For sure.
We wouldn't have brought it up. This is the Streisand effect, where focusing and complaining about it brings more attention to the issue than it.
Yeah, they're making it worse for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just again, I can't imagine why you would say our resolution removes leadership responsibilities and requires that they be isolated and not just remove them.
It's dumb.
I will say
so
they are not unique. This is a common move amongst organizations, particularly amongst organizations that are committees that have like founded things. Employees are protected within companies when they make bad choices like this. Right. This is not a surprising thing to say. And honestly, it was an attempt to get them to save face. This was an attempt at getting them to be like, step down from a staff position, from a public position, and we will try to rescue this.
But I couldn't imagine having an employee harass somebody, right? And be like, okay, well, we're not going to let him be manager anymore, but then we're also not going to let him work any of the tournaments. And maybe he can come around to clean up after everything's done.
Yeah.
I don't know when else he will be there.
From a business perspective, it makes no sense.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Just say, hey, he's not going to be employed here anymore.
And so for me, the only other angle, to me, just human nature is money. Is there something money wise? Did he finance something? Did he have control of something? Does it matter? And from what I can tell,
hey, if it's not money, somebody's got dirt on somebody else,
or somebody's got some dirt. Because why are we acting this way? I don't know. And if this is going too far conspiratorially, it's because when you keep making everything weird and nebulous, people just fill in the gaps. You know what I mean? They just decide what things
mean. What this is? These are people trying to run business that don't have the experience and haven't had to deal with PR,
and they don't have anyone helping them.
Because these are all the classic mistakes that are obvious once you know them and see them. But just shut up and move on. Everything they've done has just made it worse for themselves.
They really have, and the fact that there's now two CubeCon. First of all, War of the CubeCons was not on my 2024 bingo.
Sure.
Here we are. And so there's market confusion as to which CubeCon is the real one and which one is the good one and the bad one. It's a whole narrative thing. And it's just a hot mess.
Really, I think if we just break it down this way, it's like even the people that got booted trying to start their own space or whatever, they are acknowledging the issue that happened by saying, hey, we agree. We don't think this person should be in charge of stuff. We're not going to let them around the event, whatever. So then what are you even doing all this for?
Right.
That's the thing.
Right. The issue is
this person violated somebody else.
There is not currently a discussion or a disagreement about that the events that transpired were bad, right? Sometimes in these situations, it is a he said, she said, or a whoever said.
But in this case,
where
everybody
they disagree about
the
reality.
Page.
Everyone agrees that something bad happened in this case.
Right. And the guy was just like, I said this one thing about my finger, and that was taken out of context. And the end, and the victim was just like, no, there was some stuff that happened. And then only that, there was stuff that happened that after the investigation ended, additional things happened.
Yeah, it sounded like some other stuff happened online or something after the event as well. But that's the problem I have a problem with, though. Is you're not even saying, oh, well, this was done wrong because we believe this guy's innocent. Mm-hmm. You're also saying no, we believe he messed up too.
He messed up so bad, we're going to isolate him.
So then what's all this about, right? You're just making the situation worse when you agree that the situation is bad. It makes no sense.
Yeah. Sometimes the best thing to do is just cut out the thing that's causing the problem.
There's an old saying that the only way to clear muddy water is to do nothing. Sometimes you gotta just let it settle. You gotta just do nothing for a minute.
Dude, the celebrity that did that the best was Mel Gibson. That dude had that whole falling out with this whole anti-Semitic thing and all that.
Yeah.
Dude just went away for 3.5, 4 years. You did not hear a word out of him. And then he comes back and tries to be a model citizen. That's literally it. He just disappeared for a while.
Right.
No PR, no movies, no interviews.
That's right.
And people went, okay, that's a thing that happened. We'll see if he screws up again.
And having experienced this myself, not obviously this situation, but the idea that like all of this controversy is happening, all this turmoil, I have to say something. That pull, that need to say something is unbelievable. If you've never experienced it,
so strong.
It is.
When I got fired from Star City Games, and people were like, going rampant on Reddit about, did he do something, like what did he do to get fired from SCG? All I wanted to do was live stream. I wanted to do was shout from the rooftops, and you can't do it. You gotta just let the muddy water settle.
Oh, dude, when I got released from Card Kingdom, there were people wanting like dirt on what happened. I was like, no, It's just a business decision. It's fine. Like, we're still good. Like, and it's people kept asking and looking for a thing, and I'm like, there's nothing there. Like,
it's harder when there's controversy surrounding it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've all had those moments.
Yeah, I won't. So I won't get into like things that were insinuated because we could be here all night. But either way, that's I think the best as we can lay it out for now. This could get even worse. I don't know, but for now it's a hot mess, and we're in hot.
Nah, I think we've seen the apex of it at this point.
I sure as hell hope so. As we move on from our first pick, we are going to go on into Gather the Townsfolk, thanks to our sponsor, Mana Traders, the best tool to enhance your Magic Online experience, which is currently like rocking cubes and stuff right now. Use the code MagicMics for 12% off your next subscription with Mana Traders. Tell them we sent you. We really appreciate it. And we're going to move on here to additional stories from around the Magic community. A tale of tragedy and victory here, which Good Luck High Five, a fantastic podcast if you haven't seen them before or heard them before.
With an actual Emmy-winning host.
Actually. That's right.
This is true. The Emmy winner herself. And so they unfortunately had got broken into, had a whole bunch of equipment that was stolen. And so they made a GoFundMe to try to help fundraise to get this equipment back. It like snapped, hit its goal, which was great. And I think less than 24 hours or something.
Yeah.
And so, so this is people who steal are terrible, but people who help other people recover from that are awesome. And it's a community positive.
Yeah.
Man, go ahead.
I was just going to say GLHF has their headquarters in Minneapolis, I believe. And they, much in the same way that Loading Ready Run has the moon base, the Command Zone has their sort of headquarters where they create content. GLHF did something similar and created this base of operations. And unfortunately, this happened. We briefly discussed doing something like this for Magic Mics, but it was never going to happen because we were all in different time zones, and if we were all in one spot,
we could do something like this.
Right, exactly. But it was not going to happen for us. And I'm always a little bit jealous of that, though, like the brick and mortar of it. But then you get the headaches like this. Fortunately, a little bit of a silver lining. I hesitate to say a full happy ending. I don't have the latest intel on what they're doing, but Megan and Maria seem to be on the mend. Is the way I'll say it.
Broken into on Christmas was quite the Grinch move.
That's rough. And there were some people saying, how did they know what was in there or whatever? It's like, one, they may not know that that's an actual production place or not, or they just broke in and took stuff. Like, you don't have to know. It's all electronics. Like, they're just gonna load up whatever they can. Like, cameras are expensive, monitors are expensive. Like, you grab all the expensive cables, right? Like, you don't have to know.
And hard to identify.
Exactly.
Right. It says Sony on it. You take it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's I can definitely see
also,
that. Also,
for insurance purposes, if you are somebody who has a bunch of equipment, take down all the serial numbers and have those available for your insurance people. It helps a lot.
Yes. And you can do this for your own home, for example. Like, walk around your house and just videotape everything in your house. Make your own personal video, because if it ever burns down, I assure you that will be the best video you ever took in your life. Because you can literally go and pinpoint all of your stuff that you lost.
Yeah, because even if you have insurance for replacements, like they'll go, okay, well, we'll estimate you have these things. But if you have an itemized thing or visuals, then you can actually have something to hold against it.
Exactly. We did something similar when my storage locker got broken into, and I got my 1940s classic reel-to-reel film projector stolen, which I'll never replace. That's a rare thing that belonged to my grandpa, and I'll never get it back. But because I knew what the model was, I could accurately report it to my insurance. So, not exactly the same. But
so yeah, so obviously we send our best to Megan and Maria, and we hope they
also
recover
let
quickly.
me say what people don't realize too. It's not just the stuff got stolen. Like they can't make content the way they want to for the better part of 2-3 weeks, waiting for these parts to come in and set everything back up and see what's working, what's not. Do you have the right cables for the right things? Like that takes a while to get into that situation. So when somebody steals something from a creator like this, you're literally stealing the tools that allow them to do their job.
Oh yeah, like it sets them back big time.
Steal your livelihood. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's tough, and it for those who have not done this type of thing or set up a studio in that way, it's tough to explain that like all those little pieces have to work correctly together, and they might not always work if you put the same pieces together. I know it sounds weird, but I'm telling you, electronics
dude,
are weird,
there are times
and finicky.
I'm afraid to even add something to my network because I'm just like, if anything breaks, there goes my whole afternoon. Right.
So in a lesson of FOMO, Wizards has announced that they are going to change secret layers to, they gave them a caveat, maybe not all of them, but for most secret layers, they are going to shift from a print to demand to a limited print run model for the foreseeable future. And them limited print runs, y'all, means you get in or you don't get it. And I can definitely understand and can probably imagine that there's a chart somewhere that shows secret layer sales, and they probably spike right at the very last day of sales is when they hit their final sort of big apex there. It's probably much like a Kickstarter. Kickstarter starts out usually really high,
sure.
kind of levels out, and then ends really strong. Where this is where you say, look, we only made X. We're not going to tell you what X is. That's the thing. But they're only going to make X, and when they're gone, they're gone. And almost every product that Wizards has done in that fashion has sold out pretty quickly, particularly at least in the modern era in the last 3 to 4 years. And so, for example, there was the calendar 30th anniversary thing that they did that only a certain number were made. I have one, and again, I had to get in there while the servers were crashing and trying to refresh the page and hopefully get one before it's gone and yada yada. And and they would want that. They would want that fervor and that FOMO, that fear of missing out, every single time. And so I certainly understand why they went into the bigwig's office and they said, how are we going to make sure secret layers work? Well, we're being too lenient with the amount of time people can buy them in.
There's also the other side of that too, of now they have, I don't know, what is it, 4 years of secret layer data.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have an idea of kind of like, okay, we need to print at least 120,000. I don't know what the number is. Maybe it's 50,000.
Sure.
Plus maybe 2 or 3% overage just in case. Mm-hmm. Right. Like, and if somebody misses at that point, you kind of go, well, it was an anomaly, or some small handful of people miss out. But I don't think that's disastrous. I think the issue, like you're saying, comes when you're making a special thing that's like for an event or a big to-do that's a multi-part package or something like, or, the commander decks that we've done, the special ones that were secret layers, right? Sure. Those were probably going to be more difficult, but I would also guess those might be the ones they do to demand. Or maybe they even, if something does sell out for some reason in a week and they expected it to last a month, maybe they say, okay, everything ordered after this week, we will do some print to demand, but you're not going to get them for 2 months, or whatever.
I mean, they can sell it as we're getting you the cards faster, but game recognizes game. And this is a marketing action to say, we need you to get more fired up and spinning on these products as soon as possible because we're just making it not as exciting as it could be. And for what it's worth, I could see them unveiling print runs in the future, saying we're only going to make 5,000 or 10,000 of this.
Sure.
Come get it.
But I also think there's something to, when we're talking about like quality and whatever, when you're having to rush all these things and shuffle things on the printers, and, that's probably a thing. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people make a lot of emails and phone calls because they haven't gotten their secret layer yet and they don't know when it's going to show up, and that's probably some number of customer service emails and phone calls and whatever. So you're eliminating a lot of those issues too in the process. But I think it's really just going to come down to what are the numbers being printed more than anything else. I think that's going to be the real deciding factor, because if it is 10,000, some of those things are going to sell out real fast.
Right? And do you think that they will ever? I don't think they'll ever announce the number.
I don't think they would want to, because that would affect sales.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think it might necessarily like. Well, okay, so let's put it in perspective. I say that specifically because the sports card industry has long either said we're making X of Y or we're making it print to demand. They're very clear in those aspects, but they have they have their cake and they can eat it. But sports cards go over a variety of hundreds of players and blah blah.
Well, yeah, they sell you a box with 8 packs for $2,500 or whatever.
That's crazy. So they're insane. But what I'm saying is they've seen those models and they've worked those models, and I think there is like if they do something like prestige product, 30th anniversary whatever thing with the candy foils in it and stuff, if they say, look, we're making 100K of these and that's it, the end. I'm just as excited to get one of those 100K, or if they say we're only making 10K of this, I'm also excited to get one of the 10K because that's going to be difficult to get in line for essentially. And we'll see if they can handle it because Lord knows, I've seen how Lorcana has continued to struggle when they are trying to sell product online, period, let alone, limited edition product. And can these queue systems actually handle the load when they bring back the infinite traffic that comes when you print to demand or you print a limited run? I guess we'll see. But yeah, that was definitely interesting. I wanted to touch base here and note that Ross Merriam and Corey Ballmeister are working on getting themselves a YouTube show for competitive Magic players called For the Marbles, and they have a Kickstarter, and I put the link right there in the chat. It is in the show notes, and if you just want to search for the Marbles, you'll find it. Currently looking to raise 52 grand. They've raised 5,500 so far with 37 days to go, 113 backers. And they have some cool items that you can get as being a part of backing them, which is neat. And Corey just became a dad just the other day, which was super rad.
Nice. I believe was it like the 30th or the 31st? Close. So right before the end of the year.
Yeah. And that's awesome. And so having gone from met Corey, as Brad Nelson's brother back in the day,
right?
And him gushing to me about how much he enjoyed the Magic show and whatnot, and now he's not only commentating the big events, he's getting to be a family man himself, and so we'll get to have fun with all the kid things, and that should be sweet.
Both Corey and Ross are great content creators who've done a lot of recent Commander stuff for SCG, among other things. Ross is also a co-host of a show with Tan and Grace, I think, called MTG Rants. If that show is still going on. I actually don't know if that show is still going on. But, both of them are excellent folks, good content creators, solid dudes. And I'm thankful that they have already sort of gotten to where they want to be in terms of their support on Kickstarter. They've already gotten there, right? They hit their goal.
No, I don't think so.
Not quite.
5,500 out of 52K is what I currently see.
Oh, they need 52K. Oh, they still got a whole month plus though.
Right.
Oh, they've got a month plus. Sorry, I was short a order of magnitude.
Right. A zero.
That was my mistake. but
that's okay.
I've been very lucky getting to do a lot of work with Corey. He's been my co-host for a lot of different streaming efforts, and just a really nice guy. So good for him to get to enjoy fatherhood now, and hopefully this other project fires off. I hope it works out for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have. I don't know if we necessarily have like too many, or even if there's probably still room out there for more Commander shows. But we could use a game nights, or a shuffle up and play for competitive Magic and competitive paper Magic, which I think is what they're really trying to get across here. And so, it's wild to have lived through and seen, 60 cards morph into 100 cards in terms of what's important and what gets eyeballs and what people kind of care about. But if you want to get back there, then you need to support these guys and put the money where the mouth is type thing. Moving on here to Max Makes Magic at Max Makes Magic on Twitter, X, whatever, who has made a Chrome Web Store extension to find old content, lost articles on magic.wizards.com. And it's amazing that this exists, and I'll put a link to his Twitter announcement thing there in the chat. It'll be in the show notes. But the fact that we have someone who needed to go out and code an extension to find content that already exists on the website. They just don't link it properly is low-key amazing, honestly.
Yeah. Unfortunate. I think that there's this weird epidemic in current culture of media going away and disappearing for whatever reason, be it a tax write-off, be it because people don't want to support it anymore, whatever the reason is. And historians and internet archaeologists like this gentleman are heroes.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing across all types of media. We're seeing streaming shows pulled down, like songs just being pulled off different sites. Like you're saying, even with Magic, I mean, there's a few game sites that just have articles and information where you can't find stuff on their pages anymore. And I'm not sure why or where. At least I say that with the streaming stuff, I get there's a money thing and paying people percentages and points or whatever. But for stuff like just articles and things, it is kind of weird that you just can't have access to it, yet it still exists. It's not even like they pulled it down and it's not on a server anymore. Like, it's still there, just not easily accessible for some reason.
Right. Or you have to go to the Internet Archive to find the content that you used to have, and maybe it's obfuscated and it's still there, but you can't reach it or whatever, which is tough. I think it also kind of comes, there's a couple conversations here. One is about sort of length of copyright and that things staying in copyright for a very long time. The Mickey Mouse thing just came out. Best Buy officially getting rid of DVD. There's only a few people selling content that you can buy on physical media, and it just feels like there should be a book that is making magic, that is a compendium of all of Rosewater's writings for at least the first 2 decades or something. Like, that alone could just be a textbook in and of itself.
Right.
To be fair, I was part of the first Magic podcast, and you can't hardly find that anywhere anymore. So if somebody can help dig that up, that would be impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's a miracle in many ways that I got to start on YouTube, which does keep everything. And I still have all the old crap that I made. You can go all the way to the OG part of the channel to see some of that stuff if you want to.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was on Brain Burst, and we know what that's mired in.
Brain Burst, well, maybe the Internet Archive can help you, but that's about all you got at the moment. So there is some good news in the world of writing. Soul and Stone, which is a Magic the Gathering comic collection, is eligible for the 2024 Hugo Awards, which is awesome. And I think it's Shannon, or is it Shannon McGuire? I don't know how you say that exactly. In terms of the author, they authored the project. And as I was noting before we got started here, I was actually looking through. They admit they have the title wrong here. It's not Story and Stone, it's Soul and Stone. But I was actually reading through some of it. It was really cool. There's a whole giant chapter from a Johnny talking to these kids about what it means to be a planeswalker and working with a planeswalker, running into Grist, which was super cool as a planeswalker. So you can pick that up if you'd like. It is a super cool graphic novel, and good luck to them on the Hugo Awards. As we move on here to Desperate Ravings. Okay. So there are 2 insane things that happened. One was, I don't know why, and just like with Ravnica Remastered, I don't know why. When you have the opportunity to put a lot of value in something, you just kind of stop. There's a lever where you're just oh, nope, we reached it. They were too much value time, because they actively decided not to put Edgar Markov into Commander Masters. The card is going for $180. $180? Jesus.
Oh, I have an explanation for you, because it's going to be in Modern Horizons 3.
I sure as hell hope so, because what are you doing if you're not, right? Jesus Christ. There's cards that get up there in the Mana Crypt world and whatnot, but this is, I believe, the most expensive reprintable card that we have right now. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. I can't.
Yeah, probably. If it's not this, it's going to have to be something from Portal 3 Kingdoms or something. But yeah, this is probably it.
How did we get here? What happened? This is crazy. This price chart is also just nuts. And even just over the past year, this thing has exploded. And so the fact that they don't include these giant home runs in these products that so desperately need them, because I hate to tell you y'all, Ravnica Remastered ain't looking so hot. It's not looking great. It's looking very Dominaria Remastered, which was also not so hot and not great. And quite frankly, had way better cards in it, like Force of Will.
Sure.
So, I'm sorry, but that just kind of is what it is. And so I think at some point, these pulled punches have started to really catch up to them of saying, look, you really could have given us some more value here, and you decided not to when you see stuff like this happening.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd rather see value over trinkets, right? When you're talking about whatever, like serialized cards, old borders, special foils, whatever.
Right.
Like those are neat. But realistically, just load it with everything from Ravnica. Like that would have been the plan. Like, why not include those things?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the thinking goes behind it, but I know that this is the type of price that made me go, like, what is going on in our lives right now? Like, I hope it's in Modern Horizons 3, just because, again, value is great. Modern Horizons 2, if you don't know, before Lord of the Rings, was the best-selling set of all time. Not close, from the top rope. They stopped printing it late last year. That's when they stopped. They've printed it the whole time in between. It's crazy. That's just nuts. They sold that stuff forever. So, as much as people want to complain about the power level and the power creep, you sure as hell bought a lot of it. That's all I'm saying.
I will say this too. There's a lot of cards that are still randomly sneaky in value out there that people don't know about. So there's still a lot of reprint equity out there for Wizards if they just want to take it.
There's a ton, and
there's a lot.
Right. And I also understand they're trying to appease a lot of sort of masters. They have the Secret Lair products, they have the reprint products, they have the bonus sheet stuff that they do, a whole host of ways and means to get cards back out in the world. But when this happens, you're like, dude, something went seriously wrong, particularly when this wasn't in Commander Masters, which is absolutely messed up. So speaking of Masters and, Horizons type products, someone said, hey, if or when Horizon sets for a format that isn't modern, like Pioneer. And Rosewater says, if, but a very real possibility. And then everyone lost their minds because they're like, they're going to do Pioneer Horizons. It's been decided from on down. It's like, no, it hasn't. Right. Rosewater generally likes to get y'all excited about things that might happen or could happen. That doesn't mean they're going to happen. In fact, he didn't even say when. He said if, possibility, but if. But again, when I literally just tell you Modern Horizons 2, best set of all time, when someone says Pioneer Horizons, it's like, what if we just tried it? Because it might explode.
What would Pioneer Horizons even look like?
Yeah. People read a lot into what Morrow says on his blog.
It could just be mostly reprints. If it was literally half reprints, half new cards that are marginally better than what exists or whatever.
Yeah, but I think my question is like, is that better than just making another Modern Horizons?
Right. It's just Modern Horizons without fetch lands.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm like, I don't even know what the purpose of that product would be. I think that's,
And noting on the fetch land thing, it reminded me that Timeless as a format has shown how silly a lot of the modern bans are. The modern band, like even the Pioneer, get rid of the fetch land ban. What are you doing? You know how much better the format is with that stuff? It's crazy.
Well, that's what separates those formats, though, right?
Yeah, I would agree to some
extent. Is a great sentence.
Yep. I'm straight balling that. You just get out of here. Humbug. That's BS. I don't like it. I don't like the words you're saying, so I just ball you.
It's great. What a great thing.
Let's move on here, too. Oh, art by Magic artists are scraped by AI, developing lawsuit claims. I don't know if anyone is surprised by this. I guess there's some people who have not been paying any attention whatsoever.
Exactly.
But Midjourney and friends, yes, they've scraped every piece of Magic artwork they could possibly get their hands on. Yeah, and it seems real obvious to me, but I guess it's not obvious to everybody else.
I mean, Magic and D&D have the most plentiful, easily accessible artwork in the fantasy industry. Like, why would even if you looked at some of the art it generated, you're like, oh, that's similar to so-and-so style art or whatever. Like, you could tell on some of the output it was having. So, I mean, this shouldn't surprise people at all.
Yeah, and the fact that it's scraped artist names from Magic, and it also includes like the kids that got the stuff for the Secret Lair, is just all kinds of weird and messed up. And so then all of a sudden you can ask for a card in the style of this child, basically, and them trying to make you sort of a child's right. It's really gross. And either way, this is another one of those weird. Like Magic is not okay with AI. No artist is okay with that. No, I've met 0 of them that were like, man, I really love this technology. Most of them are like, what is like happening? Would you please stop?
To this point, I went down a rabbit hole and found out about a thing I didn't know existed, but apparently it's been around for a minute, called Glaze online. And they actually use that to basically like you can put it through this program or whatever on their website, and the artwork looks normal. But if an AI scraper tries to see it, it almost jumbles it like a puzzle. Like, it's a very cool piece of technology. But yeah, you might want to go read up on it. It's very cool. Apparently, it's been around for the better part of it, like a year and a half. But I only found out about it like a month ago.
I am very excited for the new poison pill technologies that are being developed by the people who brought you computer viruses. You ever think to yourself, why would you make a computer virus? Like, why is that a thing you made? Well, guess what? Poison pilling an AI so that it comes up with the wrong prompts. That's a computer virus I can get behind. I'm super excited for those.
Yeah,
where they like
go
hide
look
pixels
up Glaze
behind other pixels. It's awesome.
I think you'll enjoy that. Like, go down the Glaze rabbit hole. It's pretty interesting what it's able to do to the artwork.
Look at it.
It's pretty sweet.
And I still think that there are some good uses of AI.
Of course, absolutely.
Making
but
NPCs,
not in art.
Right, not in art, but like making NPCs speak to you and converse with you in a way that makes sense, that a developer doesn't have to go through 800 dialogue trees. It can be like, you're a shopkeeper, you're not going to give them any information, be a shopkeeper. You know what I mean? That type of thing, where they can give you different responses over and over, but you don't have to trigger those and program those and go through no motions like that. That to me is the good thing, but this just blatant stealing crap is just gross.
Yeah, and I think the thing is too, like, the use you're saying, I don't feel like even takes away a significant job from a voice actor, right? Because it's like, okay, we just need this dude to say like 3 lines and all my shopkeepers are going to sound like this, right? And something like Baldur's Gate, you still need all those voice actors because they're all have different emotions. There's 50 responses on a bunch of them, right? Like, you need an actual actor to do all that. So and AI is being used for a lot of things. Like, people are using it to even figure out what makes a better thumbnail on YouTube, telling you what generally is good or bad, or, the composition of the image or whatever. So, like, there's a lot of things you can use it for, but yeah, artwork isn't necessarily one of them.
This is true. All right. So let's go ahead here and turn the corner to the finisher. We do appreciate everyone who subbed during the show this evening. We weren't, my tools don't work like they used to, unfortunately, which sucks. But we do certainly appreciate it. That said, Gavin Verhey asked on the tweet site this week, quote, you get to pick one magic keyword mechanic to return in 2024. What is it, Ruben?
Well, 2023 was rough for Wizards, but good for their stock. So they could feasibly bring back the game's most value growth cost-centric keyword to appeal to their shareholders: cumulative upkeep.
Cumulative. That's
fair
a word. I like it. Power Dragon?
Well, we got the big Marvel announcement, so we know that Avengers are coming to Magic soon, and looking forward to Return of Banding, of all things, because if there's anything that's more complicated and convoluted than the MCU, it's most definitely banding.
Loki's trying to pull all the strands of the bands together to figure out what the hell is going on. Lorcana and Magic should probably not cross over, but Winnie the Pooh and Steamboat Willie are no longer solely owned by Disney thanks to their creative licenses running their course. So obviously they should print new cards and in Magic with everyone's favorite basic land counting ability, public domain.
It was a long walk to get to a domain.
That works though. That works.
I tried my best.
You did a good job. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Power Dragon.
Hey, as always, good to be here. And don't forget, leave us a review, put some nice words out there, and have a good one.
Give us some stars. That would be appreciated. Thank you, Ruben.
Hey, Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, we started out with some drama. That's what we're here for. It's why we exist. It's just what we do.
I mean, it is Our numbers go up when there's drama.
Hey, when it comes to controversy and Magic, what's old is new again. That's all
why
it
we're
is.
here.
Drama will be drama. All right, we're going to move here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, Mana Traders, my co-host, Power Dragon, and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching and listening. I hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. But join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.